Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So, with the release of a brand new studio album this month by the band Public Image Limited, also known as Public Image Ltd, PIL, PIL, it's inspired me to go back and basically create a series of videos analysing all of their albums. For the record, as far as I'm concerned, there are three incarnations of the band Public Image. You have Mark 1 between 1978 and 1983, then you have Mark 2 between 1986 and their hiatus in 1992, and then their reformation years from 2009 to present. There's a bit of a grey area between 1984 and 1985, where it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's John Lydon solo with a lot of touring musicians, infamously dubbed the cabaret years. But it is the first incarnation of the band between 1978 and 1983 that is considered special. It has the cult following and contains their magnum opus, I guess. This first incarnation comprises of John Lydon, formerly Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols fame, guitarist Keith Levene, formerly of The Clash, bassist Jah Wobble, aka John Wardle Esquire, and Canadian drummer Jim "Pill" Walker. This is for the first album. There's various drummers throughout this time. You also have like Richard Dudansky, Martin Atkins. It is Jim Walker who drums on this album, their first album, the debut album, simply titled Public Image First Issue. And you can see that it is stylized like a magazine cover. There's various different takes on the Public Image logo. You can see on the back here, it just says like Pime. This bassist Jah Wobble here, looking very, very suave and sophisticated. Look at that. And then if we open it up inside, we have the inner sleeve. There's guitarist Keith Levene. Can I just say, actually, I want to take this opportunity. His recent passing has really cut me up. I've been through a lot of shit in these past 2 years. I won't get into any of that, but basically, I don't use social media anymore. Nobody to talk to about Public Image. The only social media I'm using right now is YouTube. So Keith's passing, I've been heartbroken. He's one of my all-time favorite guitarists. He's the reason I bought a guitar originally. I will explain why he is one of my favorite guitarists later on in this video, but for now I just want to say that, yeah, I'm just absolutely devastated. It's so sad. And also on the back we have Canadian drummer Jim Walker, or Jim "Pill" Walker, as he now likes to be known. Another take on the logo. You'll notice the infamous circular PIL logo. This one is not present on any of this. It's because Dennis Morris had not yet designed the concept of the PIL logo. That didn't happen until their second album, Metal Box, or second edition as it's also known. I did actually have a rare Australian pressing of this on Wizard label that had a clear vinyl. Unfortunately, I'm never going to get that back. But this is still an unusual copy, as you can see as a promotional sticker. It's actually a Benelux edition, which is Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, I believe. So yeah, favourite songs from this album: Theme, the opening track. Imagine you're a Sex Pistols fan, you're waiting to hear something from John Lydon's new project, and the first thing you hear when you put this record down, drop the needle, is Theme. You would have got a shock. It's like there's just a cacophony of guitars. It sounds like there's 100 guitars. There's just Keith Levene, just one guitar as far as I'm aware. It is a bit morbid. I wish I could die, I wish I could die, over and over again, cyclical, but the single Public Image is a great song. It did very well in the charts. Annalisa, Religion, some great stuff. The last track on the album is a bit like just album fodder. It is called Fodder Stomp. Basically, the album was too short in length. They didn't have enough material. So Richard Branson of Virgin Records wanted them to go back into the studio and cut something else. So they went back in and just screamed over a backing track. At one point, bassist Jah Wobble even picks up a fire extinguisher, dispenses it at the microphone. So it's a bit crazy. It's a very patchy album, but there's some good stuff on it. And it was actually a very seminal LP, especially influential on the coming new wave and post-punk genres at the turn of the decade. So yeah, I actually have the single here, Public Image. Now this is very rare because it comes in a newspaper sleeve, so as you can imagine, from 1978, most copies are in terrible condition. This one is excellent. I would grade this as VG+. Okay, so moving on, we have second edition. Now this is actually not the first issuing. It was issued originally as Metal Box. The canister, the film style canister that it came in, actually cost the band, came out of their own pockets. It cost a lot of money to produce, or apparently it didn't, but I can't remember. For some reason they couldn't turn the profits over. So ultimately it was a limited run of, I think, 60,000 pressed in this original film canister. And then by the next year, 1980, they subsequently released it as a double LP. It was originally 3 45s, but then they released it as 2 33s in the United States and Europe subsequently, I believe. Obviously, for audiophiles, you would want Metal Box because 3 45s, there's a lot more groove space, it's going to sound a lot better. But I do like this. It's more compact, it's easier to play, and I also really like the cover sleeve. This is Keith Levene here. This is their magnum opus. This is generally considered their magnum opus. What an amazing album. What did critic Robert Christ go say about this? He said it was like super conscious, super aware, white European dub or something like that. It really is great. Keith Levene is one of my favorite guitarists of all time. His guitar work on this album, how do I describe it? The tone of his guitar, the way he approaches guitar playing, it is so unorthodox, it is so unusual. It sounds like shrapnel. It is so abrasive, it sounds like shrapnel hitting the ear. It is incredible. And also, if you check out like live performances, you'll see Keith use the Travis Bean wedge guitar, which is very unusual, but the sound he gets from it is incredible. Check out their performance of Chant on the TV show. Check It Out. It's actually called Check It Out. Time Tease, check it out. It is fantastic. Death Disco, Careering, Pop Tones, Chant. My favorite songs in this album are, it's like a triptych. It's like the trifecta. is chant, pop tones, and careering. But yeah, I'm singling out the guitar, but Ja Wobble's bass work on this is absolutely fantastic. He had a fretless bass on a lot of these songs, and you can really hear him like just like scrolling up. Bass line for the song Pop Tones is one of my favorite all-time bass lines. Ja Wobble said it was as symmetrical as a snowflake. He's quoted as saying that the song Pop Tones is the jewel in the crown of Public Image, so I think everybody involved was really fond of the song Pop Tones. Do you believe they had been listening to this record? This is Roast Fish, Collyweed and Cornbread by Lee Scratch Perry, 1978. I'm convinced that they were listening to this album at the time, because I can draw many parallels between Metal Box, second edition, and Roast Fish, Collyweed and Cornbread. They're massively inspired by the dub, Boris Gardner's bass work, and the percussion as well, the hi-hats and stuff like that. I can see that they were trying to replicate some of it on this, just obviously not to the same effect as Lee Scratch Perry, because Lee Scratch Perry is Lee Scratch Perry, and his work is just inimitable. So here's the single, Death Disco, 12-inch. It's about John Lydon's mother passing away before his very eyes. It is also known as Swan Lake on Metal Box, because the riff, the melody on this song is taken directly from Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. So moving on, we have a live album, Paris in the Spring. This came after Metal Box in second edition. Basically, Virgin wanted them to record it because there was a lot of bootleggers at the time recording a lot of Pale concerts, and they wanted to try and combat this by putting a soundboard quality live album out. It is mixed very, very poorly. They clearly did not give a shit when they were mixing down this album. For some reason, there's just a lot of like white noise on it, but there's some great versions of some of the songs, particularly Pop Tones. There's a version of Pop Tones on here. On Metal Box, it sounds very dark, very ominous, very sinister, whereas on here it sounds very light, very melodic. I don't know how, because I've analysed it, and Keith Levine is playing it exactly the same way. I don't know how it's such a shifting tone, but yeah, this is not a great copy. I do have a better copy here somewhere. So this is a Japanese pressing. It is in pretty much mint condition. I got this from Sonic Boom Records in Toronto, or T-Dot. Even though it's near mint, there's no obi strip. It's Japanese, but there's no obi strip, so it's kind of... I'm very OCD, so that is disappointing. That does annoy me. But what's interesting is that you can see the difference in print, the difference in tones of blue. This one is more like an ultramarine. This one is almost like a mauve. Don't know if you can see that because of the glare. But this same year, 1980, Ja Wobble left the band, rather unceremoniously. I'm led to believe there's a lot of rumours about what actually went down. We don't really know. All we know is he actually ran off with a few master tapes and cut his first studio album using a lot of the backing tracks from the Public Image material, which did not go down well with John Lydon. And even to this day, they don't see eye to eye. But yeah, this is one of the singles. Ja Wobble, Dreadlock, Don't Deal in Wedlock. He did do quite a lot of, I would call them novelty, sort of white reggae dub songs. It's fun. It was good fun. It wasn't until around, I'd say, 1986 that he actually revived his career and he really started to take it seriously. He is now just like the model professional. I have so much respect for Ja Wobble as a bassist and an industry professional. Please check out his song Becoming More Like God. I think that's 1995, which I have here. This is a great song. It's one of my favorites by Ja Wobble. Ursula from the album Rising Above Bedlam. And I think the big one is this, Visions of You, featuring Sinead O'Connor. The bass line on this is fantastic. Sinead O'Connor's vocals, fantastic. I almost bent it then. Jesus Christ. It is actually signed by Ja Wobble also, so it's very lucky that I did not bend it. Please check out the live version of Visions of You on The Word. Ja Wobble is just on fire, so Sinead. And it's very apt right now because of the recent untimely passing of Sinead O'Connor. I'm not sure about the circumstances surrounding her passing, but it's really tragic, isn't it? This is the studio album, Rising Above Bedlam, and then this is the single, Visions of You. I actually just found this. This is from the first album era. Continuing the theme of like a fashion magazine, the Public Image. A very nice picture of John there. It's very damaged actually, this poster. They're quite hard to come by. But yeah, there it is. Oh, that's good. That's really good. You can see that. Moving on, 1981, and we have The Flowers of Romance. Oh, there we go. That is Jeanette Lee of... you may know her from Rough Trade Records. Yeah, they used her image quite a lot around this era. Yeah, and this is actually a Canadian copy, also from Sonic Boom Records. This was $18 and it's graded as VG+. This is a great album. It's so underrated. It's unusual. It's probably the strangest record ever released on Virgin label. It's even stranger than Tubular Bells, Mike Oldfield, which was Virgin, was it not? I may be wrong about that, I'm not sure. Even though Jeanette Lee is featured on the sleeve, it was pretty much just John and Keith, and also Martin Atkins was drumming around this time. And there was one single issued, it was The Flowers of Romance. Here's the 12-inch single, here's the 7-inch single. It's a weird album, but it's one of my favorites. I think it's so underappreciated. Interestingly enough, it was actually one of Kurt Cobain's favorites. Didn't he write like a handwritten list of 100 favorite albums? Flowers of Romance was on that list, so yeah, that's very interesting. Just looking at the track list, I say my favorites from the album. I really like Him Is Him. That should have been a film soundtrack score. It is amazing. They're so atmospheric. Go Back, Banging the Door, The Flowers of Romance, obviously, Under the House, For Enclosed Walls. Finnegan, Francis Massacre. There's some songs that I just find really irritable. But apart from that, I think it's a really good album. It's definitely worth just listening to. It is an experience. Also, to just go back for a moment, I found Ja Wobble's album. This is released in 1980. Betrayal, it's called. I wonder who that's aimed at. and you can't really see it. Oh, there you can see it. Like I say, a lot of the you'll recognize a lot of material on this from Public Image's Metal Box. Dan MacArthur, one of his various aliases, Dan MacArthur. Also, here is the CD version of Metal Box from 2009. I have actually owned various actual Metal Boxes on vinyl over the years. I do have one that's signed by John Lydon and Joe Wobble. I got it signed by both when I was in Toronto, and but unfortunately I don't have that anymore. Real shame, but what can I do? It's sad. Anyway, so moving on. 1982 saw the start of the whole Commercial Zone era, which brought probably their biggest known song, apart from Rise and Public Image, I guess. This Is Not a Love Song. This is where it all started to go really downhill, and there's a lot of tension between Keith Levine and John Lydon, and ultimately they parted ways. Keith ran off with the master tapes, just like Joe Wobble had done 2 years prior to this, and he released his own version of Commercial Zone, whilst John Lydon re-recorded what he could and released it as the album This Is What You Want, This Is What You Get in 1984. Here is that album. I have to say, I loathe this thing. I really hate it. I think it's abysmal. I think it's by far Public Image's worst studio album. Do yourself a favour and go listen to Keith Levine's version of this album titled Commercial Zone. It is just far superior to this thing. Some of the versions on this, listen to the version of This Is Not a Love Song on this album. It is horrendous. It's horrific. Gary Barnacle has a lot to answer for that saxophone contribution. Jesus Christ. Please avoid this album. I know people like it, but I'm sorry, I just cannot say anything good about it. Apart from The Order of Death, I think the version of The Order of Death on here is really good. Featured in the movie Hardware, I believe. Was it also featured in like Blair Witch Project, something like that? But apart from that, there's really nothing good on this album. Every song on this, there's a better version of it on Commercial Zone by Keith Levine. So yeah. But anyway, just to round this video off, I'm going to show these. These are Joe Wobble's drumsticks. I know Joe Wobble is not a drummer, but when I saw him live, he was playing various percussion, including cowbell, and yeah, subsequently stole these drumsticks. That is all for the first incarnation of Pale between 1978 and 1983 4-ish. I will come back with another video soon discussing the next incarnation of the band between 1986 and 1992. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you're really enjoying the new album also. I know that I am. Until next time, have a good one, and may the road rise. Bye.